Hi, my name is Michael, and this video today is about the origin of Hanukkah and how it relates to us today. And I'll put some interesting facts along the way. First of all, let's talk about Hanukkah and its origins. Hanukkah is also known as the Festival of Lights and the Feast of Dedication. It's a Jewish festival that commemorates the purification and rededication of the temple by Judas Maccabees on Kislev 165 BC, which was held in December time. 3 years prior, Antiochus IV, the Syrian king, defiled the temple sacrifice by erecting an idol to Baal, sacrificing a pig on the altar in the temple and declaring himself God, and decreed that the Torah, the law of God, should not be studied under the penalty of death. Antiochus sent troops from village to village with a statue of himself and ordered people to bow down to it. It began the Maccabean revolt, in which led to Jerusalem being liberated eventually. If you read the book of Maccabees, it speaks about that. Also, I can show you a coin regarding Antiochus, just to prove the authenticity that the book of Maccabees is true. Archaeologists have found a rare coin that proves that the book of Maccabees is true. This rare coin was of King Antiochus' rule, was discovered in Jerusalem. That sparked the Maccabean revolt that led to the victory of the Maccabees in reclaiming of the temple. Put it up close so you can see that. Yeah, so they found this rare coin to show that fact to be true. And they said, well, they found it. Archaeologists found this coin, and what was stated on the coin is that Antiochus IV. On the coin it states, let me show you a picture of the coin. Here's a picture of the coin of Antiochus IV, and on it it's written here, it deciphered it and said he's proclaiming himself to be a god. So that's Antiochus IV, that's the coin. So prove that's a genuine, a true history. So what's the relevance of it being nowadays? What's the point of it, you might be saying? Well, interesting thing is, if you read the book of Esther, Esther was made queen on the 7th day of Hanukkah. Queen Vesti, which represented the rebellious, disobedient bride, didn't want to be called forth. If you read the story about it, when the king ushered her in, but she didn't want to come forth. So the king chose a new queen, which represents Esther, which is the new covenant or bride of Christ. The thing is about that is, let me show you some facts. The 7th day of Hanukkah, the time when Esther became queen, was held on this year is on the December the 19th, 2017. Just an interesting fact. Doesn't mean anything was going to happen that day. Just an interesting fact. Just also another interesting fact, 120 days, which is a significant number, from the solar eclipse, which was on August 21st, 2017, leads to the 7th day of Hanukkah, which is December 19, 2017. That's an interesting fact. Not saying, like I said, not saying anything's going to happen that day, but just sharing some interesting facts. 120 seems to be very interesting in the Bible, and let me just show you some facts about the 120. Well, the first interesting fact about the 120 in the Bible is, as we all know, about the story of Noah. And when God told Noah that in 120 years God will destroy all man and animals, which states in Genesis 6:3, and the Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he is also his flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. So God told, obviously, Noah to build the ark, and 120 years later the flood came. So God gave a time there. As I was saying, some interesting facts. 120 years relates to also to Moses. When he grew up, Moses, he saw that one of his fellow Israelites was being struck, so he avenged him by killing an Egyptian. And that happened when he was 40 years old. Let me just read the scripture to prove that. In Acts 7, 22 to 24. So Moses was educated in all the wisdom of the Egyptians and was powerful in speech and action. When Moses was 40 years old, he decided to visit his brothers, the sons of Israel. And when he saw one of them being wronged, Moses went to his defense and avenged him by striking down the Egyptian who was oppressing him. So when he was 40 years old, he struck the Egyptian and left. And the next part of it, to reach 120, is he was 40 years in the land of Midian. Let me just get some facts about that. Now, the second set of Moses was when he spent 40 years in the land of Midian. He got married, had children, and then he returned to Pharaoh. And it shows here, to prove it, in Exodus 7:7. And Moses was 80 years old when he was 83 years old when they spoke to Pharaoh. So Moses escaped Egypt after he killed the Egyptian when he was 40. Another 40 years had passed. We got married, had children, and went back to Pharaoh for another 40. So now the last 40 was the time when he spent wandering in the desert when the Israelites were unfaithful. So spanning that period, it was 120 years. So that's just an interesting fact I thought I'd share with everyone. Another interesting fact as well. Another interesting fact is the 120th Jubilee since creation. So that's quite an interesting fact as well. Anyway, I hope you liked and enjoyed this video and helped and encourage everyone. If anyone out there still hasn't sought the Lord, now's a good time as time is running out. I'm going to post a video soon about a couple of dreams I've had from the Lord very soon. I'll do that soon. Thank you very much for listening to my video. Goodbye.